All right, draft is less than 4 weeks away. And we've talked a lot about the impact that guys can make on the team, but what about the impact guys can make on other guys on the roster? It is SNL, Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. We're 4 weeks away from the draft. 25 overall is the selection for the Texans in the first round. And we kind of want to get into guys that are going to be impacted most by these picks and guys that maybe because of the status that they currently have kind of make us wonder how we got to this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some guys that are affected and lose their job because the draft picks are in danger of losing their job from draft picks. But Landry, one guy who's not in danger and is actually a guy that they're betting on a ton is Blake Fisher, who we believe is going to be the right tackle for this team in this upcoming season. And it was really kind of off of the Stephon Diggs conversation that we've had this week, and we've talked about it. And I saw you tweeting about it. Hey, like they used this future second round pick, and they ultimately got 1 year out of Stephon Diggs, and they got a huge cap charge when Stephon Diggs is out there playing for another team as well. And so then I got to thinking about, okay, like second round picks, how valuable they are. And then I really got to think, I was like I like Blake Fisher. Okay. Like certainly, obviously, like I now see the plan for kind of why they maybe made that selection there in the back part of last year's second round. But I can't help but wonder, along the lines of people who wonder, hey, what would have happened if they had just kept, the draft pick and not made the Diggs trade? I can't help but wonder if they'd done something else with that second round pick, moving around or moving up in the draft or moving up from that spot and grabbing another player at a different position. Because look, Blake Fisher, he's fine. He's certainly like the potential is for him to be a long-term solution, but I don't know that Blake Fisher is any better than, some free agent right tackle they could have gone out there and signed this offseason and plopped right there at right tackle. He's like, they're piecing it together for one whole year on this offensive line. And we hope Fisher's a long-term piece. Well, hell, he's just as likely to be a part of the one-term or a part of the piecing it together for 1 year than he is to be a long-term piece at this point. Like it's 50-50. Like there's nothing I could, succinctly tell you in 2026, Blake Fisher is going to be there at the right tackle spot and we're all going to feel pretty good about it. It's like, I don't know, just putting Blake Fisher under the microscope a little bit here. I just wonder if they could have done something different with that pick and the draft strategy as a whole last year.
Yeah, the Fisher thing is interesting because the actions that they've taken to get Blake Fisher and since Blake Fisher had gotten there, like if you would have just put Blake Fisher to the side and let's just pretend you're only allowed to pay attention to transactions and what happens on the field means nothing, then you would have seen them last year, despite having two of the highest paid tackles in the league in the second round, take a tackle. Then you would have seen them in less than a year's time move one of those high paid tackles inside to guard and then trade their franchise left tackle and Blake Fisher still be here. So the actions that they've taken to get Fisher and the actions that they've taken to handle the players that were in front of him before, like if you just saw that, you would think, okay, they think Blake Fisher is awesome. Like they feel really good about Blake Fisher. The problem is we really don't know what it's going to look like. So I'm not skeptical about it. I have obvious trust issues with their evaluation of offensive linemen, but I just think it's kind of crucial. I just think it's kind of crucial that Blake Fisher resembles a serviceable tackle. I think it's in their best interest, and I think it's in the best interest of the, for lack of a better term, credibility of the line of decision-making that they've made to bring Fisher in and to move guys out or move guys around that were in front of him. So I haven't seen anything from Blake Fisher that makes me think, okay, well, this guy stinks. I've seen natural growing pains, but I think based on what they did and what they've done, I just think it's crucial for Blake Fisher to just look like a serviceable tackle and look like someone who validates the line of thinking that they've displayed since they've acquired him.
Yeah, and they've got to be able to rely on him throughout the course of 2025. And I understand there's potential options behind him, but I don't know that any of us want to see Austin Deculus out there at right tackle and Trent Brown coming off of a serious knee injury last year. I can't imagine that's going to be a really fun scenario to watch play out, even though Brown's got a tremendous amount of experience at the tackle spot. So like they definitely need him, but I just like Caserio mentioned it and he just kind of threw it in there after they drafted Kalen Bullock. He said, we actually considered taking him with the second selection that we had there in the second round. And so like they were pretty close on those two players. And if they had taken Bullock there and the tackle run still happens and Fisher's not there, what would they have done with the Bullock pick? Would they have gotten a better player? Like there's solid football players that went after Bullock, even offensive linemen. Now, again, they probably thought they were good at guard, but hey, they were good at tackle. Why didn't they draft a future guard as well? Like 49ers got a starting guard in the third round, and he ended up being one of the 10, 12 best rated guards at Pro Football Focus. So the Fisher thing, it's very much under a microscope. It adds to the skepticism that we have for this organization with their offensive line selections. I know Nick Caserio has had some really good success on day 2 in the NFL draft, but his two of his misses or one of his misses there on day 2 is Juice Scruggs. And that was a trade up for Juice Scruggs. It was a draft Knicks thought that's a little early for Juice Scruggs. Now I think Fisher went kind of around where most people expected him to go, but he's definitely a project. A lot of people believed he should have stayed in school for another year. Now he gets an NFL education instead of Notre Dame, and he's got to be ready to go day one. And if he's not, they got some serious long-term issues because then Landry, they don't have any long-term solutions on the roster unless they draft some of them this year. And then why would I feel good about those guys? Because they can't draft any other linemen.
Well, and the other thing is like first of all, you're trading elite draft equity to get Will Anderson. So you're trading a first, a second, and whatever else they traded. And while that's happening, your core talent is developing into elite talent. So you've got to hit. You got to have more Kamari Lassiters and Kalen Bullocks instead of, Blake Fishers and Kenyon Greens. So that's the other factor of it, especially if you're going to draft not for need and you're going to proactively make a pick. It would be nice if Blake Fisher looked good. And here's the thing, like I expect Blake Fisher to struggle. Like I expect anybody who's getting their first amount of playing time to struggle in some way, shape, or form once we see him full time. We got to see something from him. Like it has to happen. You cannot miss badly on the Blake Fisher situation. So
it's one of those. It's one of those that could really set you back a little bit because, and that's a guy that they opted to not back up another position. They opted to not try to find a immediate starter at another position, and they went with him. And he plays sparingly last year, ultimately ends up as the starter. He's very okay. Other players around him at the position, mixed results. The Ravens guy that played right tackle was way better than him. The Commanders guy that played tackle was way better than him. He was way better than the guy the Chiefs picked from BYU, who they could barely put on the field. He was better than the Patriots guy that they drafted. He was better than some of the guys at his position, but he's also worse than some of the guys at his position. And now here, a year later, we don't even know if he's any good. And they have a bunch of one-year solutions on this line because let's be very real about this. If Juice Scruggs and Jarrett Patterson aren't any good this year, you move on from them too. And you're looking at a lot of new faces on the offensive line. Now, obviously, we believe they're going to draft some guys, but there's no reason to have blind faith in Blake Fisher And to your point, he's got to be good from day one for them. And if not, they could be in a real pickle here with this offensive line. We've talked about, hey, how much worse can it get? Like, yeah, it can't get worse and it can't stay the same either. Like, it's got to get a little bit better along that offensive line. And this may just be another element of, well, we believe that a year in the NFL, a year with a real NFL offseason, Fisher's going to be ready. He's going to be in great shape. He's going to have, fine-tuned the things in his game that he can control, and we're going to coach him up better, and he's going to be a better player. And if the Texans believe that, then it's got to pay off for him in 2025, or we'll be yet again looking back at another offensive line pick that Nick Caserio made, and we're like, well, why did he do that?
On the chat, talking about Blake Fisher and the decision to select him and everything that's happened now, Sam says, if Fisher is like y'all been saying he is in the locker room, I ride with him. He wasn't that bad in the snaps he had last year for a rookie. I would disagree. I think he had some bad moments. I think he looked like a rookie. I don't know what we've said he's like in the locker room. He's always studying his playbook. Like, he's kind of just chilling, kind of quiet. Like, he's usually just sitting off studying his playbook and stuff. But and maybe we said he's kind of on the opposite end of Tunsil, but yeah, he's just serious, studying his playbook, very accountable. That's how I would describe him as. I don't know like what you mean by that, but I think that's what you mean.
I can't remember Blake Fisher last year, buying into that narrative of that's not who we are. Like, he never said that to my remembrance. Juice Scruggs did. That's not who we are. Actually, Juice, I'd like to present evidence to otherwise. I'd like to point to all these games where I actually think that's exactly who you are. And this is just something. It's a small element because it's something, not everything. But I'd be interested to know, and it wouldn't take that much time to go back and look, like past 4 or 5 seasons, top 3 round tackles. How'd they fare as a rookie? How'd they fare as a second-year player?
It's like corner, man. It's like corner.
I have to imagine there's a pretty good bump between year 1 and year 2. Whereas if you remember, I used to talk about this all the time with Kenyon Green. There's usually not a bump from year 1 to year 2 for guards. Usually what you come in the league as is usually what you are. I got to imagine for tackles, there's a little bit of a leap there for those guys. So that may be a little pre-draft project that I put together and share with the folks here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So yeah, just always in his playbook and just kind of a quiet dude. David Pope says, out of the young guys, who would you feel comfortable starting beside Fisher? No one. The point is that he hasn't separated himself, I would say. So like, there's no one that I'm like, oh, here you go. And I don't even know that none of these guys are really young. So unless you mean rookie, like, are you talking like Kelvin Banks? Are you talking Will Campbell or something like that?
I mean, I'd start, I would let it be a competition with Banks and Campbell, though both those guys could play guard and help you out with a guard spot as well. And if he means like left guard, like beside Fisher, like the literal beside Fisher, I want a draft pick to start next to him. I don't want anybody on the roster to start next to him. I want the 25th overall pick.
Is he saying beside Fisher or besides Fisher?
If he's saying besides Fisher, I would rather Fisher get the trial by fire than anybody on the roster. If he's saying like physically next to Fisher, well, I want a draft pick to be playing physically next to him.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we'll see what happens with Blake Fisher. Interesting selection last year, and now, I mean, that selection gets put to test, and it's balancing the plan they have with the trust issues and what it's going to look like when it goes on the field. So this is not a dismissal of Blake Fisher. I just think the urgency is pretty high.
It could be. We could really look back at the 2024 draft. If Fisher turns into a nice player, we could look at the 2024 draft and your first 3 picks become
elite.
Really important players on your roster,
which is really rare. Like I know we always we admittedly nitpick picks. Like every organization, the good ones miss on picks. Like so it's if you're batting 500, you're feeling pretty good about hell. If you go 3 for 7 and you have guys who get second contracts, you've done pretty decent. So it's obviously it's a nitpick business, and there's a lot of variables that go into it. So
yeah, I mean, like the Detroit Lions, their guy Brad Holmes won Executive of the Year after the 2023 draft. Jahmyr Gibbs, starter, impact player right away. Jack Campbell played for them right away on defense. Laporta, one of the best tight ends in football that year, and then Brian Branch was a useful player. Like they hit their first 4 picks. Now they were all in the first 2 rounds, but they hit their first 4 picks. That's one of the reasons you win Executive of the Year, because it's like Rick Smith made a living hitting 1 pick a year. It felt like he hit the first round pick, and then there was a bunch of varying levels from rounds 2 through 7. Basically, every year Rick Smith was involved in this thing. It's like you hit 3 guys in that first 3 rounds. You're really building something nice. And like if Fisher came along, then I mean, my goodness, day 2 Caserio will be at the peak of his powers.
Hell, I think the Chris Ballard media tour for hitting on Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard just ended last month. Like, like he was the god of football for that draft. He hung his hat on that one for a long ass time. So it can definitely happen when in one draft you can completely shift things, and that's the beauty of it. You can shift things quickly. I kind of want to touch on something else, and we're going to get into guys on the roster perhaps more threatened, the most threatened by draft picks. But where are we at? Because the Fisher stock, I don't know that the Fisher stock has risen. I think the importance of it has risen, but the stock really hasn't. It's more crucial, but the buy or sell is not there. But if we would have had an imaginary stock market last year at this time, and we would have said, all right, we're gonna put all these players, we're gonna put them to the forefront, and we want you to buy stock, buy low, sell high type of stock vibe. I think Christian Harris, the linebacker, would have been one of the main purchases. Like that would have been one of the main purchases. Out of sight, out of mind, maybe, because last year we really didn't see him for a long time. He was injured. Didn't do it outside of not being on the field, which is kind of important. It didn't feel like anything like happened to where you lose hope in him, but now it just doesn't even seem like he's being factored into what this defense could be next year. Is now the time to buy Christian Harris stock? Like, is there too much sleeping going on? And I'm guilty of this. I'm asking for my own financial advice. We saw To'o. We saw him take a massive step. We saw what Azeez did. They don't really seem too desperate at the linebacker position. D'Amico's always spoken very highly of Christian Harris. Like, are we now to the point where Christian Harris went from being that dude to maybe someone that we're sleeping on a little bit too much now?
Well, if there was a Texans stock market, I'd be broke, because I had too much stock in the offensive line last year.
That's your own fault.
I had offensive line stock last year. I had Christian Harris stock last year. I did not have enough Kalen Bullock or Kamari Lassiter stock. Now, to be fair, I feel like I was up there with just about as much as anybody that Joe Mixon was going to get it done. So like that's my one saving grace. But yeah, I could not do the Wolf of Wall Street. Don't judge me by my winners. Judge me by my losers, because there's so few. No, I had a lot of losers in the Texans stock market. I'd buy it, because if it was simply just the injuries last year that kept them from being able to use Christian Harris, if that was it, because he came back and then he clearly wasn't the same level of player when he finished the 2023 season. And then I'm sure, a little bit of change in defense, football shape, yada, yada, got hurt again. And then they just weren't putting him on the field. So if it was just the injuries, I mean, bye. But if you feel like there's some concern about him fitting in with Azeez Al-Shire, with To'o playing well, the chance they maybe add a rookie linebacker, you might want to hold off. I'd buy. Just if you write off last year as an injury-riddled year, it's a good spot to be in for Christian Harris. It's not like I like Henry To'o. Christian Harris is a much better athlete than Henry To'o. So if he catches up between the ears to what To'o knows, you're going to put Christian Harris on the field, not Henry To'o.
Look, I just wonder if it was like a rust thing. I think it was a combination of rust and trust as to why he wasn't on the field on the back end. I don't think the trust was about, I think it was just because he hadn't been playing football. So you combine that with the whole thing. I don't think that D'Amico lost any faith in him. I could be wrong. I don't think that was the case with Christian Harris.
I just feel like if he was healthy, they would have put him on the field against Travis Kelce. He would have been on the field, and they wouldn't have just left that to Azeez Al-Shire. That's not what Azeez does. Azeez is not supposed to be the athlete at linebacker that's chasing the tight end around. That's not what he's supposed to do. That's supposed to be what the athlete Christian Harris is for. The DB turned linebacker.
See, I think that's more for Jalen Petrie or Jimmy Ward. I don't think that's like a linebacker.
Well, they didn't have those guys.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to put a linebacker on him, and I don't know, do you really, I know Harris had the pick 6. Do you really look at him as like a huge cover guy?
Well, more than Azeez, I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's been proven.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't believe Christian Harris was on the bench because they didn't believe they could play him in Kansas City. I believe he's on the bench because they didn't believe that he was the level of player due to injury.
That's kind of a big task, though. Hey, you haven't been playing. I want you to go guard Travis Kelce.
Well, and he's not healthy too, perhaps.
Yeah. Go ahead into your business. Yeah, so who knows? The Christian Harris thing, something to keep an eye on. Swarm in the soup. You ain't never hate. Swarm. Toke with me says, appreciate the hard work, fellas. Keep up the great work. 420 smoke something. Go Texans. # Bulls on parade. Shout out to you, my friend.
Toke with me. What a name.
It's self-explanatory, I think. I think we can figure that out. It should be a license plate, to be honest with you. So I wanted to ask this question too. The year 2 Petrie versus year 2 Bullock. Tell me why the fall off that Jalen Petrie had in year 2 will not, there will not be a fall off with Kalen Bullock. I think the answer is obvious, but let's just kind of get into this, because a lot of times, and I think we did this last year, after a great rookie season, you automatically anticipate the best is yet to come. A lot of times that doesn't happen. A lot of times there's natural growth. A lot of times there's poor surroundings. A lot of times there's just a decline in play. And we saw that last year with CJ Stroud. Could have been a combination of everything I just previously mentioned. And we also saw it the previous year with Jalen Petrie, where he was damn near unplayable. Tank Dell wasn't producing before he got hurt like that. Tell me why this won't happen with Kalen Bullock.
I would tell you that I just believe in the totality of the defense and that the overall talent on the defense is going to be much better. And I get that. The 2023 had some nice pieces to it, and there were some nice moments about the defense, but you didn't have 2 really good cornerbacks that year. You were missing Stingley for a portion of the year. When he came back, he was really good, but you didn't have the level of pass rush. You didn't have as much consistency, or consistency is not the right word because Azeez missed time, but they clearly have a lot of confidence in the linebacker spot in 2024, whereas it felt like they were just kind of confident in the totality of the position in 2023. It's like the team being better hopefully will keep him from having a lower floor and from bottoming out like Petrie did, because I know 2023 was more impressive than we expected it to be, but it wasn't nearly as impressive of a defense as it was in 2024.
No, it wasn't. And it was also kind of different schemes. Like we saw Petrie in the Lovey scheme, different situations. I think Bullock. I think if Bullock has issues, it's being stronger. It's tackling. But as far as like ball skills and what you're asking him to do, and I think the surroundings are favorable with what he has around him. I don't see any possibility. I'm the stock's probably expensive. Like if we're going to go back to the stock game, but I'm buying the Kalen Bullock stock. I think we're talking about a guy that's could very well have damn near 10 interceptions next year. Like I'm very high on Kalen Bullock. So I just don't really see that happening. I think he's in a really, really good spot. Really, really good situation, really, really good surroundings, really, really good makeup. And Petrie has the makeup too. And it seems like they found a role for him.
My only worry with Bullock is really injury. Like and it's a nice spot to be in as a player where you're not necessarily worried about the player coming in and trying to do too much. I wonder if there was also an element of Petrie from that safety spot trying to do too much in 2023, and they pared down his job in 2024. Like, just do this. Just go be near the line of scrimmage and go be disruptive. And so the only thing for Bullock that derail him is injury, and that's a good spot to be in when you're heading into your second season. So I have a lot of confidence in Kalen Bullock, and rightfully so. That was an impressive season, and they started to trust him. I remember us going through the snap counts and kind of watching it. It was like, okay, 52%, 64%, boom, 98%, 100%. And they're just putting him on the field right away. It's like, all right, they trust him. Let's go.
Yeah, they have a lot of trust in him, and I think they should. I think they're smart to have that feeling. All right, so guys that are threatened by draft picks that are currently on the roster. Cody, you have a list of guys. Let's just go through these guys, how threatened they are, if there's any hope that perhaps they break out and they shake them haters off, aka talking heads like you and me, and figure something out.
All right, so threatened by a draft pick, any interior offensive lineman, anybody. Laken Tomlinson, who they just added in free agency, Ed Ingram, who they traded for, Jared Patterson, Juice Scruggs, anybody on the interior offensive line. Not only your job, but potentially your position on the roster threatened by a draft pick, like without question. If they get a guard in the second round and they get like a center in the fifth round, immediate threats. Nobody's safe on that offensive line, to me, really, with the exception of Cam Robinson at left tackle. And even then, if somebody plays better than him, sit his ass on the bench. That's fine with me. But any interior O lineman, you're threatened by a draft pick.
Yeah, I don't think you can plug anyone in on the interior, including Juice Scruggs, which I guess is like another version of the Blake Fisher conversation that we had to start this. But I mean, it's just a bunch of bodies. It's just really like a bunch of bodies, a new scheme, new mindset and stuff. If they, and I think I know we always talk about, well, draft picks get this type of treatment, and it's kind of been weird with D'Amico and Caserio, because when you talk about guys like John Mechie and you talk about guy like Kenyon Green, two guys from the 2022 draft, you factor in that they weren't D'Amico's guys, but it kind of felt like he treated them like they were his guys. Like it's almost like he might as well have been here when they were drafted. Like it seemed like they were getting favorable opportunity. I won't say favorable treatment, favorable opportunity, which is only natural. But if you're drafting with how much attention the offensive line has gotten, with how much you've acknowledged that the offensive line was a problem, and with all the changes, if they draft someone on the offensive line in this draft with all the attention that's being paid to it, he is like someone they believe in. Mm-hmm. I don't even give a damn if it's day 3. Like, honestly, like that guy is going to get as good of an opportunity as possible. And the other thing is this, that I think needs to be taken into account. The offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach, it's going to be their guy too, because they're going to be asked. Like, they're going to ask Cole Popovich. They're going to ask Nick Caley, what do you think of these guys? So it doesn't matter if it's a first-round pick, second-round pick, seventh-round pick. If they take an offensive lineman, there's no, like, the tie goes to him. Like, if the play is equal, like if one of these offensive linemen that they draft is even a notch below, like a Tomlinson or even Juice, they're going to be the ones that are playing. And quite frankly, I have no problem with that. But that is 100% a fact, given how much attention the offensive line has gotten and really how crucial it is to getting where you want to get.
Yeah, tie goes to the draft pick.
100%.
Tie goes to the draft pick.
100,000%.
All right. That's, guys on the depth chart, from starter to backup, maybe from, hey, we don't need you anymore because we got this kid. But this guy, if he gets beat out by a draft pick, he's on another football team. That's Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce hopefully is threatened by a draft pick after this upcoming draft. Hopefully the Houston Texans have the draft capital to get themselves one of these running backs in what is one of the deepest running back classes in recent memory.
I don't even know that he has a shot. I don't even know that they're going to give Dameon Pierce a shot to compete. I think if Dameon Pierce is on this team in camp, I want to see him getting 30 carries in preseason game 4, and maybe showcasing his skills for another team. I just at this point, you have a return man. You've tried this thing. It's not like you drafted the guy in the first round. You drafted him in the fourth. Quite frankly, it was a good pick. Dameon Pierce was a fine pick. You got him late in the draft. He was never looked at as some sort of bell cow. He held it down very nicely for you his rookie season. He provided you with some good special teams moments. But as far as being a backup running back, you got to move on from that. So I don't even know that Dameon Pierce gets the opportunity. I've got to think that they have some sort of plan in improving the quality of running back and the diverse skill set of running back. So I don't even know, unlike the interior O-line, I don't even know that Dameon Pierce gets an opportunity to try to prove himself this year. I think they move on from that. And quite frankly, I hope so. Because it's probably about time to figure that out.
Well, we will find out how much of, you talked about the favorable opportunities with some of those offensive linemen. We'll see if that continues with Dameon Pierce, because from off season into the training camp situation into he's hurt and they trade away the healthy guy in Cam Akers, Dameon Pierce got favorable opportunities and it didn't work out, with the exception of him turning into a useful special teams player. So we'll just have to see exactly if that favorableness continues for Dameon Pierce. I have a hunch if they get a draft pick, it's, teacher's pet gets, demoted a little bit. So threatened by a draft pick, Brevin Jordan and Dalton Schultz. Now the second name is less likely than the first name, but if the Texans invest in a tight end and he's good enough, tell me you couldn't dump Dalton Schultz into training camp to somebody for a late round pick.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
here you go.
That.
Here you go. Just your tight end got hurt. You're not really sure. Here you go.
I mean, we also got to see what Brevin looks like, and we also got to see how they like him in this scheme. How do they see Brevin Jordan? That's the other thing. We don't know how they feel about Brevin Jordan. So it's a big mystery. I know they gave him the contract. I'm assuming that the contract is team friendly, to where
the contract is very team friendly.
Yeah, to where if it doesn't work out, then they can figure some stuff out.
It's I think it's $600,000 if it doesn't work out, and then that's it.
So we just got to see what Brevin Jordan looks like. And quite frankly, I didn't see enough before last year to feel overly confident that he's going to have a great season. I think there was reason for optimism, but we really didn't get our opportunity to see what Brevin Jordan looked like. And I also think the legend of Brevin Jordan kind of grew because Dalton Schultz was so bad. Correct. I think Dalton Schultz was so bad, so it kind of made you think, damn, where's Brevin? It's he's all right.
Brevin Jordan's he's like that it's harder to do now because everybody's got phones and you see everything's on the internet. But like back in the day, you'd hear about this guy over at this other school. He's awesome. Just wait till you see him. Wait till you see how good that guy is. And then like by the time your school plays him, he's not there for whatever reason, suspended or hurt. It's like, well, I never got to see him. Like I'll just take your word for it. That's kind of what it was with training camp. And like D'Amico Ryans was bumping him up. Like I show a Brevin clip every day. And it's like, okay, I'm excited. And then he never got to really play in a game because of the injury. And it's like the mystical myth of 2024 Brevin Jordan.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, it sucked because I was really excited to see what he was going to do, or what he could do or could not do.
All right, last one here for me. And these two guys are catching heat from veterans maybe behind them on the depth chart and what I assume will be rookies in front of them on the depth chart. And that's John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson. A fifth-round investment, a sixth-round investment, a seventh-round investment, and certainly anything day 2 or earlier from a wide receiver standpoint. Boy, that makes John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson puts them in a tough spot because they've got veterans breathing down their neck with Braxton Berrios and Justin Watson, and then they'll have a rookie ahead of them. They're in big danger if there's one wide receiver added, much less 2, or maybe 2 and an undrafted guy. Whew, they'd be in a lot of trouble.
I don't know that Watson's even breathing down their neck. I think he's ahead of them. Like I think Watson is ahead of these guys when it comes to the depth chart. Like if I were laying out a projected depth chart, I would put Watson ahead of Mechie and Hutchinson. I think he's better. I think he's a better player. I think they brought him in for a reason. So that's not to say that he's awesome, but I think he's ahead of them. The Hutchinson thing is interesting because I think sometimes he's almost guilty by association. And like how I said that Brevin Jordan kind of gets elevated because of what Dalton Schultz did, I feel like Xavier Hutchinson gets thrown into the same group with John Mechie, and I don't necessarily think that it's fair, although I'm guilty of it. Because John Mechie was a second-round pick. You were talking about him perhaps being your slot guy. Like, Xavier Hutchinson's a day 3 guy. Most day 3 guys don't really hang around for a long time. It just doesn't happen. So I think Xavier Hutchinson has had I think there's been a gradual improvement and in situations you've seen him do okay. And if Xavier Hutchinson is a guy who continues to improve and he's your number 5 or 6 wide receiver, the 3rd year of his rookie deal, I think it's fine. The Mechie thing's just a little bit different because of the investment and everything that you've seen and every opportunity that has been given. So I think there's kind of like an opposite, guilty by association type of vibe that goes on with Hutchinson and Mechie.
Well, here's what I'd say. I want both of them to be pushed and either earn their way on or find a new team. Like I want options that it makes it tough for them to make the team if they're making the team again.
Well, I thought it was tough last year. And I mean, some would say that Mechie, with his performance in the preseason, earned his way onto the team. And some would say he was never on the bubble. I don't know that they were going to quit him. It did seem like a little bit of a possibility, but some would say that happened last year. The only thing that I always point to, and it's really all we have to judge by it, is both years they had opportunities to step up. It just didn't happen.
Correct.
It did, when the wide receiver room was depleted and it was this is the Mechie, this is the Hutchinson game. It just didn't happen. And that's really all we have to go off of when it comes to them. So
there's no Mechie and Hutchinson game coming. It's not coming. That's never coming.
Maybe in the preseason.
There's no regular season Hutchie and Hutchinson.
How about Mechison?
Hetchie and Mechison.
Yeah, how about Mechison?
Hetchie and Mechison. John Mechison.
So yeah, that's just kind of where we're at on that.
I guess it would be Javier Hutchison.
Yeah, and we saw the Mechie experiment. It's just not.
It ain't there.
It's not there. It ain't there.
It ain't there. And along the lines of Kenyon Green, if it shows up somewhere else, that's fine because it wasn't happening here.
Yeah. Yeah. And there might be some teams that would like to kick the tires on John Mechie. I mean, there's enough of a highlight tape there, and there's enough of I don't want. Is it a pet? Do I call it a pedigree? But there's enough there to where maybe someone wants to kick the tires on John Mechie. Maybe you got me saying Metchinson, but maybe they kick the tires on him. I don't know. But I'm not doing, like I said, I was out on offensive line coaches and now I'm in on Cole Popovich. I'm not doing the John Mechie breakout thing this year. I'm not even entertaining it. Like, it's not. I'll let the local news stations and stuff do that. I'm not partaking. If it happens, then just another example of when I was wrong, but I'm not partaking. I'm not doing it. If he makes plays in camp, we'll talk about it, but I'm not doing the could John Mechie be the guy thing. We'll see what happens. I'm out on that. So you can do it. I'm out.
Yeah, no, I will not be doing it either. I will not. And I will say this. I feel like we were some of the only people telling you the truth about where John Mechie was in training camp last year. I feel like there was some people that liked the story more than the performances early on.
Oh yeah. I mean, that preseason game, I don't know that, like, I don't, the buzz that he got with that preseason game, and it was a good performance. It was treated wild, but yeah.
Yep. So those are my endangered by draft picks. Endangered by draft picks, guys.
Yeah, and I think it's a good list for sure. I don't know that there's even any other guys that would be endangered by draft picks. Dangered by draft picks, I should say. Maybe Christian Harris if they do draft a linebacker. Maybe it's kind of a 1-year thing. Maybe. You could see that, but who knows? I'm still intrigued by that possibility for sure. So we talked yesterday about the stadium. We also talked about the potential nightmare when it comes to drafting and Green Bay being right there with you when it comes to a wide receiver. Do you think there's any possibility that they trade up like in front of 20 to draft a wide receiver? Do you think there's a trade up possibility now? And do you think they have to? I guess the question would be, do you think they have to? Yesterday I did a mock draft and the rule was on the stream was you have to draft a wide receiver no matter what with the first pick. So we're drafting for need. There's no trade up. Had to take Luther Burden. Had to. That's not ideal, but had to because you're taking a wide receiver no matter what. Do you think to get a wide receiver, they're in position to where they're going to have to trade up if they want to get one in the first round?
No, there should be one of the guys there in the first round at 25. And if there's not, then get ready to dip into day 2. But no, there should be one of the guys there. I just don't. You look at, and this is an exercise we'll do as we get closer to the NFL draft. You try to find like the 24 guys you believe are coming off the board for sure, regardless of who the team is. Like I know, I feel strongly these 24 players are getting drafted before the Texans make a selection. So then who's left after those? I feel like one of those wide receivers should be there at 25.
You sure? Is that your final answer?
It is, yes. And I don't believe the Green Bay Packers are going to break from tradition and draft a wide receiver.
Everyone says that. Everyone says that, but I mean,
if it was another organization, but they're super weird about it. Like they don't like to spend money.
They hate wideouts, dude. They hate wideouts.
It's just a very weird. The last time their first pick in a draft was a wide receiver was 2008, and that was in the second round. They drafted Jordy Nelson. The last time they drafted a wide receiver in the first round, it's been 20 plus years.
Yeah, it's like the reputation that they've developed. My God.
It was 2002, Javon Walker.
Texas A&M's finest. Javon Walker, he'd go up and get that. He'd go up and catch that rock too.
Yeah, so
right? Yeah, he went to A&M.
Man, I wonder. I'm looking. Okay, let me look at these teams that need wide receivers. It's it's not super hard to find another need that could be very closely associated with where they are. Green Bay still needs offensive linemen.
I looked at Green Bay. I looked at the Chargers.
Right, Chargers need a tight end. They need a running back.
Chargers need offensive guys.
Yep. They probably need another interior guy on their offensive line.
Benji on the chat. If you were Texans GM, who are you trading up for in round 1? And what is the scenario for each option you have? That's a lot of questions.
Well, if you watch the mock draft from yesterday, we made a nice trade up. We made a really good trade up to go up there and get Tyler Warren from Penn State. If he starts to fall, I'd go get him.
I Must Pandaline asks, do you do mocks every day? No, I do a couple. I've done a couple now. This is the downtime. Like this is the downtime of football season. The last week, I say this, I've said this a couple times. Last week of March, first week of April, because baseball starts, final stretch of March Madness. You're kind of catching your breath after free agency. There's not a lot of news. There's draft chatter. And then it just intensifies as soon as we get closer to the draft. And you can tell that by NFL Network. NFL Network doesn't start Path to the Draft, I don't think, till April 5th. I think that's when they start or something like that. So that's when they start their full out draft coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where we're at. Bando brings up Tegan Quitiano. He's a Falcon, according to Aaron Wilson. So there you go. R.I.P.
Friday scoopage.
R.I.P. to Tegan Quitiano. Pour one out for Tegan Quitiano. Rest in peace. We'll always remember you, my friend.
We'll
always remember you.
You will be quickly forgotten. You will be quickly forgotten.
You will always be remembered.
Nope, not over here.
As the hope.
But I don't think I ever had too much hope for him. I'm sure there was a moment where I had some hope, but not. I just stay on the field. Stay away from remote controls.
Not possible. Not possible. Shout out to Quitiano. Rest in peace.
He didn't. I mean, he's on the Falcons. He didn't die. The Quitiano dream is dead. Until he gets cut in training camp, they bring him back to the practice squad.
Nah, he's making the roster.
Okay.
He's making the roster. Kyle Pitts finally. You know what? If Pitts breaks out this year, there's a reason.
Oh, because Quitiano pushed him?
The influence. Yes. The influence of Quitiano. So just remember that. I know that Kyle Pitts breakout season, we're going on year 3 of that. Right? Yeah, year 3 of the Kyle Pitts breakout.
Yeah, he's got a re-breakout because he was a Pro Bowler his rookie year.
Just know it's because of Quitiano if Pitts has his breakout year.
Okay.
That's the X factor.
So yeah, that'd be.
I might keep the Quitiano vibe alive through Kyle Pitts.
He's just transferring it.
Yes,
that's not fair.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to buy through, and I'm going to give him credit for everything.
Okay,
I'm going to over romanticize the Quitiano impact.
And when Pitts isn't any good, what are we doing?
Not Quitiano's fault.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Not Quitiano's fault. So that's
all the credit, none of the blame.
Yes.
Got it.
That's how we're handling this.
Got it.
These are the rules.
Got it.
TQ still alive.
TQ. More or less useless than DQ. I got nothing for you. I was trying to get.
What do you mean DQ? You don't like Dairy Queen?
Tegan Quitiano, less useful than DQ. There we go. That's what I meant to say.
And what?
I like DQ. I don't like TQ.
Oh yeah, that was a reach. Good Lord.
I tried.
What's up, yoga? Luis on the suit. My God, thank you. Perfect timing.
You ain't never hate.
Woo! Goodness, Cody's struggling. In a trade back to the second round, In a trade back to the second round as Eric Ayomaner out of Stanford makes sense.
Ayomaner.
If he's on the Texans, I'll get that right. The Stanford receiver.
I don't love it for the Texans because this is it. Like you want this guy in an ideal world to be able to help as much as he can in 2025. Ayomaner amongst the wide receivers is a guy that may need just a year of seasoning to really be able to unlock what he's capable to do. It feels like there's so many other guys
to do.
Yeah, you go be physical and win down the sideline. But there's some fine tuning to the intricacies of football that are necessary. Like the rawness that you saw from Nico Collins initially, like there's rawness to Ayomaner's game. He's not the fastest guy in the world either.
I always watch him, dude. Like I find myself watching him a lot. Because they're on late. There's a lot of late games, and then there's a lot of I feel like they played on Thursday. They played Syracuse this year. I think they beat their ass, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even know that he had a good game. I know Andre Ware was calling it.
They won 26-24.
But they were beating their ass, right? Weren't they up big early?
I mean, they were up 13
because they were 17. They were 17-point dogs, or like they were. I think they were double-digit dogs, maybe.
Yeah, it was
8 something.
It was back and forth most of the day.
Yeah. They got the dub. They got that money line dub.
Yeah, he's had some.
Don't ask me why I remember that.
He's had some. I mean, the biggest game, the one that you'll always point to is 2023 against Colorado. He had 294 yards, 3 touchdowns, and in a immense game, and like it's like they beat Colorado in double overtime, and he's basically the reason they did. So you can go watch the highlight tape from that. You can really kind of be like, well, look at this guy. But there wasn't as much consistency in 2024 as there was to the back part of 2023. Now, Stanford sucks. Like they're a bad football program right now. Like they just fired their coach like 2 days ago. They fired their coach in March. Like, what are we doing? They shouldn't play football. They should just play basketball.
What is David Shaw doing now?
He's in the Lions organization, isn't he?
I don't know. I just remember we had him on the show a couple times, and he was like real big on Davis Mills, real big Mills truther. It seems like his name always comes up.
Yeah, he's the passing game coordinator for the Detroit Lions.
There was always rumors about him like going pro, and they never happened.
He had the best agent in the game because he was always
in the rumors, man.
Didn't the Texans interview him like twice?
I don't know that they interviewed him. I know that David Shaw, we had him on the show and he was like big type of dude. Like he was big, like big Mills guy. JB says my wide receiver choice is Isaiah Bond.
Speed.
Okay.
Did you see Golden sniping at people on Twitter? Matthew Golden from Texas.
Yeah, I saw it, and then the guy got real defensive about it. Pull it up because he kind of went in the sticks because I don't even think this guy mentioned him. I just saw like it was a Cowboys fan, and he was talking about Matthew Golden. I think he brought Restrepo into the conversation, and the only reason I saw it because it was in like my For You section, and Matthew Golden like questioned the kid. And then all of a sudden it became like a big
Matthew Golden loves him some social media.
Does he?
Yeah, he loves a little
spat.
He loves a little spat. He loves the retweets. So yes, this was indeed a searched his name situation, or I guess he saw it. So the outlaw cowboy NFL guy. Matthew Golden doesn't have 4.2 speed. Still a very good wide receiver, though. Xavier Restrepo was seemingly always open. Plays like he had a 4.5 feed spiel. Stop leaning so heavily on track stats and actually watch them play. And Golden quote tweeted it and said, wasn't my job to run 4.2 in my offense, bud.
and then the kid got pretty defensive, like, oh, it's not what I said. It's like you're basically saying that he plays slow. Like you're not like he said, that's not what I said. I said no, like the way that you put that, you basically act like he's like some track guy. Now I agree
treated him like he was Darius Hayward Bay.
Yeah, like they weren't using him like Xavier Worthy. So I get Golden's point here. Like I don't know, like it's not like he wasn't taking advantage of his opportunities. Like he doesn't look slow, like by any stretch of the imagination out there. So the kid said this, and then he tried to put this little smart ass caveat on the bottom. Stop leaning so heavily on track stats and actually watch them play. And it's like, so what are you saying? Like, are you saying that
the kid's trying to claim, I'm going through his mentions right now, which going through video and saying, well, that actually looks like a 4.3 instead of a 4.28. What a way to spend your day. We all have weird things that we do.
Yeah, we do. Hey, I watch every reality show there is. I just watched the Southern Charm reunion, and I can't wait for part 2. So I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. So yeah, he's like, oh, it wasn't a dig.
That's weird.
It wasn't a dig.
Yeah, I mean, you basically said he's a track star, and watch him play football.
He's a track star.
Yeah, there's a difference between saying, like if we were talking about Jefferson a few years ago, and we said he's not capable of playing in the slot or playing outside of the slot, which was a lot of the dialogue, that'd be one thing. But there's a big difference between saying that and saying he wasn't asked to play in the slot. So if that kid would have said Matthew Golden wasn't asked to use his speed, then that would be one thing. But he gets called on it, and then he tries to say, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. No, you didn't. You said he was a freakish fast guy that doesn't play fast. And there's a big difference between that, or was he asked to do that? I don't know. I don't even know what the answer is, but the way that the kid said it, the smart ass, he literally said that basically the guy is not as fast as his 40 time. You didn't say he wasn't asked to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. The smart ass. I like that.
Yeah. Like it's funny. It's funny that Golden dug that up though. Like of all the stuff, like it does make me wonder, like,
I just can't get behind. Is there
going to be a Titus Howard factor where he's going to have to take down his Twitter?
I just can't get behind a name searcher. They're tagging you. You want to go through your mentions?
Matthew Golden, when he talks, is not like it's like that's not what he comes across as. He seems like the last guy that would be doing that.
That was an old Tyrann Mathieu bit, was name searching.
Yeah, well, maybe someone tagged him. Sometimes people tag you in like the conversation.
That's a great point. I'm going to give Golden the benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah, but I mean, and I think he's in the right on this. Like that was clearly a.
My favorite part is that has 1.1 million views, in large part because Matthew Golden quote tweeted.
Hey, he's calling the kid out, man.
It's crazy how someone can read this and think it's me saying Restrepo's a better receiver. Yeah, buddy, I think exactly what you said.
Oh, that's what the kid said. Yeah. Stop watching track stats and pay attention to the game. It's always a dangerous area. So yeah. And the speed does matter a little bit more in the NFL. Like, let's just be serious. Like it does, like there's a reason why there's a lot of slot receivers that just aren't putting in work in the NFL. Like the athleticism does kind of catch up a little bit to you. Just a little bit.
To your point, Golden did get tagged, so it's not like he maybe just saw it in the mentions.
Yeah, I don't think he's searching his name.
Jerome, Cody wanted none to play for us. Great choir guy. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Jerome's lonely today, man. Someone like can I like Uber Eats Jerome a hug or something like that? He's lonely in those mentions, man. My man is going to be crying eating ice cream tonight. My man is very lonely.
Caserio even said a couple weeks ago they can't all be choir boys.
Yeah, that's what he said.
But then they go and they get a lot of choir boys.
But they are a little bit more open to.
To be fair, you want Ed Ingram, not a choir boy. The guy that the lineman they traded for from Minnesota. Hit the Wikipedia page. Not a choir boy.
Yeah,
you don't get accused of that if you're a choir boy.
They're open to it, man. They're open-minded. D'Amico.
No, people are slandering me in the chat now, Landry. They made the nose wipe a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, he wants horns down. He wants horns down to be like a lifelong ban.
No, I would be vehemently against the horns down getting penalized. That was always silly.
So that's where we're at with Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden claps back on Twitter. McMillan doesn't like football.
Yep.
And doesn't watch tape. And Emeka Ibuka, he is the perfect guy who hands out Bibles. So
yeah,
it is definitely the downtime. It definitely is the slow news day time. That's where we're at.
Luther Burden, diva.
No.
And then everybody's like, well, I don't know if Emeka Ibuka can play outside. It's like McMillan doesn't like football. Golden's a chronic name searcher on Twitter. Luther Burden makes it rain every night in the club, and it's like,
no, he doesn't. Where are you getting this
sorry,
from? Where are you getting that from?
Sorry, the Bible guy cared about Christ too much, guys. It's like at draft prospects, when they have something wrong with them, it turns into the fish story. Somebody catches a fish, it's actually this big. By the time they tell the story the fifth time, the fish is this big. It's like draft prospect. I can't believe Xavier Restrepo ran a 5.1. Like, that's what people will be saying here in a couple weeks.
Kobe's laughing about the hands out Bibles. That wasn't a joke. Like, he really did that. Like, he handed out like damn thousands of Bibles.
Was that
Ibuka did that? Really happened.
Was that an NIL deal, you think? Don't
know. I just know they had like a late night thing, and Ibuka and some of his teammates were actually handing out Bibles to students. So it did. That's not a joke. It's a true story.
Because like when CJ got was CJ got everybody new suits, right? When he got an NIL deal.
I don't know what he did.
I think CJ got everybody new suits. He got like a clothing sponsorship, and so everybody got new suits. So I wonder if the Bibles was an NIL deal. Okay, we'll donate these Bibles to you, and then you can pass them out. Or maybe he spent his own.
What are you saying? What are you saying? His faith was bought? Like now you're just throwing out stuff.
That's not what I'm saying. You're trying to twist my words around like I'm outlaw cowboy guy.
Yeah, what are you saying? He was bought? Like, what are you saying? Is he? I mean,
it would show some very forward thinking to then find an organization that printed Bibles and get them to donate the Bibles so that he could then hand out.
Oh, so you're saying monetize it?
No, before NIL, he would have gotten in trouble for getting free Bibles.
Oh.
Now I'm saying, like, if he went and sought out a company, it was like, hey, I'd like to pass out some Bibles. Would you like to donate them? The company's like, yeah, sure. Here you go. Like, that would show some initiative.
Yeah, because Bibles can be expensive, right?
I can't tell you the last time I purchased a Bible. Usually you get one and you hang on to it.
But they're not cheap.
I have to imagine, well, now on the internet you can search anything. The Bible's everywhere. But physical copy, I don't know. I mean, surely you could find one for less than $10 somewhere. Maybe he was giving out like, Bibles with devotionals in them. Like the fancy big ones that have like worksheets in them and stuff. Who knows?
Yeah. So throughout the night, they're showing it. Went up, spoke. It's like a TikTok video. I can go check it out. So yeah, it's Ibuka, man.
Ibuka, good human being. Tetero McMillan eats with his mouth open, hates football. You guys tell me who y'all want on your team. You guys tell me who you want on your team. You want the guy with eggs and rice falling out of his mouth when he's telling you how much he hates football?
You know what I didn't get about that video that we watched, that you made me watch with McMillan?
What's that? you made me watch. Like I held you down and played it for you.
No, I was a little bit confused by it. And this look, it's the season of overanalysis. So this is the SNL version of Cabin Fever. We miss football. We can't wait for the draft. This is the overanalysis. Take it with a grain of salt if you so desire. But here's the confusing thing for me. He says that he eats only rice and eggs every day for a meal, but then he goes on to break down in depth, which I can respect. McChickens, how to eat McChickens, like all these fast food things. So are you really eating just the rice and eggs, or are you indulging in some fast food? That was what I was kind of confused about.
So I watched, so I have the answer for you here. He just said his breakfast every day is rice, eggs, and a protein.
Rice, eggs, a protein. And he said Spam.
Yeah, he's from Hawaii.
Okay.
Hawaiians
yes,
love Spam.
And Hawaiians love pokey.
Hawaiians love Spam.
Yeah, and I think
I love disgusting. Spam.
You like Spam?
I don't like it out of the can, but I like it, you cut it into
I like Vienna sausages, bro.
I do not like Vienna sausages, no.
I could see you eating those, you sicko.
No.
Can't be around those things.
No. A little Spam and eggs. Whew. Chop it up. Saute it a little bit, get a little crispy. Scramble your eggs in there. Bing, bing, boom.
Because there was a big breakdown of Will Levis putting mayo in coffee. For me, I was I was out on Will Levis for that. And this is like the in-depth analysis here. I was out because, first of all, he wasn't really about that life. Like, if you go back and watch the video, he was just trying to be funny in a video. I think it was with his girl at the time or whatever. He's just trying to be funny. And it just happened to go viral. And then everyone was talking about it. And then all of a sudden he acted like he was like the biggest mayo and coffee guy. So it's kind of fake. It was fake. Like it was just kind of phony to me. So I was just like, you know what, I'm out.
This is fake. This is fake.
This is fake.
Yeah, that's Photoshop. That's fake. On my mama, that's fake. On my heart, in my life, my little brother grave, I could die right now. That's fake.
Yeah, it was fake.
It was fake. Yeah.
So I was out on that, man.
Yeah.
Ain't really about that life.
No. Tetero McMillan, like Spam.
Can't blame him, given the Hawaii lesson that you just gave me. So there we go.
Well, I think some other things got her a little bit of an extra eyeballs.
Oh, he's got a new girl though, right? Isn't he dating like an influencer? Or is
He's
the girl
got
an influencer?
Well, the girl that he was with on draft night broke up with him, and the rumor was because he didn't get drafted in the first round.
I don't believe that.
And then somebody got a hold of either his phone or her phone, and the internet broke loose.
See, I did not see this. It's in my bubble. Who knows? Will Levis could be traded. Who knows? All right. Appreciate
Is there any coach where you'd be like, yeah, that guy's got a shot there with Will Levis?
No.
Yeah, probably.
No, there's no saving that.
No.
Subscribe, like, right along during the downtime.
We want to tell them about a week from tomorrow.
Always remember. Go ahead.
Week from tomorrow.
Boots for troops.
Yes.
Drop ball challenge. And there's some word on the streets, by the way. Word on the streets. So I've managed this game twice. Last year, we beat their ass. The year before, we got our ass whooped. Kind of feel like they took some guys off my team this year because we beat their ass so bad. So I think I might have some different guys to work with. And also, there's rumblings that they could be adding a manager to their squad who has a little bit of baseball experience. And he's actually probably my favorite baseball player of all time.
Are you saying that they're trying to strap a rocket to their managerial situation?
What I'm hearing.
Wow.
And I got Stoots as the co-manager this year. So they realized that we were not playing around. And now it kind of feels like they're taking it a little bit too far with what they're trying to add.
Yeah, so if you're in the area, it's at the Woodlands Baseball Academy next Saturday. You can get in for like $15 general admission. There's some other seating options. The SweetSeatsTX.com. I'll put the link in the chat right now if you want to go check it out. And if you're in the north part of town, come on out, hang out with us. We'll manage a softball victory, talk a little football with you, and it goes to a great cause, Boots for Troops. So come out and see us and hang out.
Yeah, not only that, we're going to be on the road for day 3 of the draft too. That'll be fun as well. If you're not a softball guy, completely understand. But if you are a beer football guy, or girl, I think most of y'all are. So be ready for the announcement on the draft party. Clear your calendar for what are we, 29 days from today? We'll be getting it going. We'll be reacting. We'll be having some fun. So
yeah, the 26th of April, you need to be ready to hang out with us, talk football, and have a couple brewskis.
All right. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.